Hey guys, I hope your preparation is going really well. Welcome back to the session जहाँ पर आज हम लोग Python के बारे में थोड़ा देखेंगे. So now we all know in order to solve problems in the world, we need computers. But in order to solve problems, the computers need to understand them first. So for that particular purpose, we have come up with some kind of programming languages. Python उनमें से एक है. Now this session will be mostly regarding some of the basic concepts of Python. Not too difficult, trust me. जो आप इतने सारे topics देख रहे हो, even though they are quite long in number, but ये काफ़ी easy हैं. But the fact that you need to remember is ये इतने easy topics हैं, you need to practice a lot. So please do not forget to practice at the end of the session. हम लोग थोड़े topics cover करेंगे, but before we begin, a quick introduction. My name is Aakash Singh. I'm a software engineer currently working in AI. At any point of time, if you have doubts, there is a Telegram group जिसका link description में आपको मिल जाएगा. Also, if you're not able to connect on Telegram, you can post your comments on any of the videos. I'll be able to help you out there. So let's begin with the session by talking about Python. Now, Python is used to solve problems. How do you code in Python? What are the various concepts behind it? हम लोग ये सब देखते हैं. So we know that Python में हम लोग programs लिखते हैं. What do these programs do? They have a particular usefulness. For example, I can create a calculator, or maybe I can create a program that converts degree Celsius into Kelvin or degree Celsius into Fahrenheit. These are very easy things जो हम लोग Python से कर सकते हैं, but there are also very complex things that can be done like data science, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So जब हम लोग ये applications बनाते हैं, there is a file that is created. Now within that file we have written something. जैसे हम लोग notes लेते हैं, हम लोग English में लिखते हैं, हम लोग हिंदी में लिखते हैं. Similarly, in Python language, we write the code. Now this code is basically known as source code. Now this source code is read by the PC or Python interpreter. Why? Because you need to convert this source code into a language a computer can understand. So as humans, we can speak Hindi, English or various other languages, but computer cannot. Computer only speaks the language of ones and zeros, which is binary. So interpreter का काम है कि आपने जो source code लिखा है, you have the interpreter converts that into binary language so that the computer or the CPU can understand it. Now once the conversion has taken place, the program is executed line by line. आप एक एक करके वो line execute करते हो. Let's take an example of a calculator here. So calculator में हो सकता है addition वाला function होगा, subtraction वाला function होगा, division वाला function होगा. So ये एक एक करके सब execute होता है. Once all of these lines are executed without any errors, आपका program जो है वो ready होता है. So this is basically how Python works, right? So some of the features देखते हैं हम लोग जल्दी से Python के. Python is an interpreted language, which means before feeding it to the computer, you need to convert it. And for conversion, हम लोग एक interpreter use करते हैं. Generally, we use VS Code. I use VS Code. There are other things like Jupyter notebooks. Python programs are really very easy to understand. पहले Java and C++ में आपके जो lines थे, आपके जो programs थे, वो thousands of lines of code होते थे. But with Python, that has been reduced to 50 to 500 lines only. Python is case sensitive. Basically, अगर आप उसमें ABC लिख रहे हो and ABC लिख रहे हो यहाँ पर, there is a difference which we can see. The same difference can be seen by Python as well. Python is portable and platform independent. Basically, अगर आपने Windows में एक Python program लिखा है and you send it to someone who has a Mac or Ubuntu, right? So दोनों जगह ये program जो है वो काम करेगा. Python is also very famous because इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा predefined functions होते हैं. जैसे हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था कि एक कैलकुलेटर क्रिएट कर रहा है. सो वंस अ पर्सन हैज क्रिएटेड अ कैलकुलेटर, what he will do is he will create a library out of it so that किसी और पर्सन को अगर कैलकुलेटर यूज करना हो, he does not have to code everything. He can just import the calculator in a single line, and these things are known as predefined functions, जिससे पाइथन में आप बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हो विदाउट कोडिंग देम एक्सप्लिसिटली. पाइथन को आप वेब डेवलपमेंट में भी यूज करते हो. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द फीचर्स. सो वी टॉक्ड अबाउट पाइथन इंटरप्रेटर, जहां पर VS कोड जैसे सॉफ्टवेयर्स इंस्टॉल होते हैं और आप उसमें लिख सकते हो. बट अगर आपके पास ये सॉफ्टवेयर्स नहीं है, यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज अ स्क्रिप्ट मोड. सो विद इन अ स्क्रिप्ट मोड व्हाट डू? यू क्रिएट अ टेक्स्ट फाइल. इस टेक्स्ट फाइल में आप अपना सोर्स कोड लिखोगे. देन यू save it as a .py file. So instead of .txt, you save it as .py, which means it's a Python executable file, and you can eventually run it using the command prompt. So this is all just for knowledge, but remember about script mode. आपका जो source code है वो एक फाइल में स्टोर होता है जो आप कहीं से भी रन कर सकते हो. In order to run this file, आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि उस फाइल का नाम क्या है. For example, I have named my program program1.py. So you have to say that Python run program py. So this was all about the basics कि Python क्या होता है, how is it used, how to run files. So let's talk about learning the Python language. So when you started learning English, you started by learning A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, right? So within Python also, there are some keywords. So जो इंग्लिश में आपको पास लाखों वर्ड्स होते हैं, पाइथन में उतने नहीं है. पाइथन में ओनली 33 कीवर्ड्स हैं. So these are the list of all the keywords. When you use these keywords within the interpreter, अपने आप कोड में अगर आप कोई भी वर्ड यूज कर रहे हो तो पाइथन को समझ जाता है कि दिस वर्ड मीन्स समथिंग and it has to do something about it. So these are the Python keywords. You don't have to remember all of them, but some of the common are false, none, true, and, return, while, pass, continue, if, and so on. Let's say you are studying mathematics and you have an equation like x is equal to 43. Since we are studying mathematics, we know this thing is known as a variable, right? But what is the name of the variable? We have named it as x, right? So mathematics में आप algebra जो है वैसे करते हो, but in Python it is in a similar way, but इस नाम को हम लोग बोलते हैं identifier. मैथमेटिक्स में हम लोग इसको बोलेंगे वेरिएबल नेम, बट इन पाइथन वी कॉल इट एज एन आइडेंटिफायर. इट इज एक्चुअली द नेम गिवन टू ऑल द वेरिएबल. जैसे y इज इक्वल टू 43, यहाँ पर आइडेंटिफायर इज y. इफ आई से a इज इक्वल टू हेलो, यहाँ पर a इज द आइडेंटिफायर. सो व्हेन वी नेम एनी वेरिएबल वी नीड टू फॉलो सम काइंड ऑफ रूल्स. जैसे हम लोग पासवर्ड क्रिएट करते हैं, जब हम लोग यूज़र नेम क्रिएट करते हैं, देयर आर सर्टेन रूल्स, राइट? कि आप नंबर से स्टार्ट नहीं कर सकते हो, आप उसमें स्पेशल कैरेक्टर्स यूज़ नहीं कर सकते हो. सिमिलरली इन पाइथन लैंग्वेज व्हेन यू आर नेमिंग अ वेरिएबल, आप वहाँ पर सिर्फ अल्फ़ाबेट्स यूज़ कर सकते हो, नंबर्स यूज़ कर सकते हो, एंड द ओनली स्पेशल कैरेक्टर दैट यू कैन यूज़ व्हाइल नेमिंग अ वेरिएबल इज अंडरस्कोर. द सेकेंड रूल इज कि आपका जो वेरिएबल का नाम है वो कभी भी नंबर से स्टार्ट नहीं हो सकता, एंड यू कैन नॉट स्टार्ट इट विद अंडरस्कोर. सो बेसिकली इट शुड ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद एन अल्फाबेट. Also the variables are case sensitive. So if I name variable like no, capital No and no, these all are different variables. So that was about naming a variable. Let's see variable जो होते हैं वो कौन कौन से data types ले सकते हैं. So there are multiple data types we will look in the further slides. So for example, if I have written x is equal to 45, what is x? It is an identifier. It is a variable name. What is the value of the variable? It is 45, right? What is the type of the value? That is integer data type. Next type of variable is storing a string. It should be inverted commas. यहाँ पर name is the identifier. Similarly यहाँ पर जो num variable है इसकी जो value है it is a list. So variable is nothing but an object that is stored in the memory. And हर variable का एक नाम होना चाहिए. आप nameless variables नहीं create कर सकते हो, just like in mathematics. Since Python is used at a lot of places in the world, हो सकता है कि एक कोड पे मल्टीपल लोग काम कर रहे हो. There can be developer 1, there can be developer 2, there can be developer 3. So obviously they can talk to themselves using a phone call or an email, but while writing a code, if they want to convey something, what they start out by doing is comments. Just like you have comments on Facebook, Instagram, आप Python language में भी comments डाल सकते हो so that the person looking at the program can read the comment and understand it. So basically comments जब आप डालते हो code में, they start with hash, and once you are writing a comment, the interpreter chooses to ignore that because it is not providing any value except that it is just a piece of text for the reader. So comments are not executed. What is the use of comments? So अगर आप कोई भी प्रोग्राम लिख रहे हो, आपको पता है आपने क्या लिखा है, because you can create any logic. But if you want to show a program to someone else, for example, you are writing a Python code for your project, it is a very good practice to comment every line of code so that the person reading your code understands कि आपने कोई line क्यों लिखी है. So this is the use of comments. So you might know there are various type of datas in the world, like numerical data, text data, audio visual. So similarly in Python we have different type of datas. Numeric में आपका आता है integer. Integer में आपका whole numbers आएंगे 4 -3 11. Float means decimal values. Decimal में आपका 3.14 -1.0. Complex numbers is not in your syllabus. Boolean means either true or false. It can also be written as either 1 or 0. 1 मतलब true होता है, 0 मतलब होता है false. And the other type of data type is the sequence data type. So sequence में you have two things, actually three things. One of them is strings. Strings मतलब text. Text में, for example, I have written my name is, and I just leave it. So this entire thing is known as a string because it is a collection of alphabets, a string of alphabets. That's why it is called a sequence. So list, as the name suggests, it is a collection of various data types. आप इसमें integer डाल सकते हो, आप इसमें string डाल सकते हो. This is also a string, this is also an integer. The difference between list and a tuple is कि once a list is created, you can change it. I can change it to 4, Sanjana, 11C, 45. But once a tuple is created, you cannot change it. So इनको mutable और immutable types भी बोलते हैं. हम लोग आगे देखेंगे what are these. Also other differences कि यहाँ पर square brackets है and यहाँ पर parentheses है. Dictionary is another data type. Just like you have a normal dictionary, a word points to a meaning. Similarly, यहाँ पर the key points to a value. So price is the key and value is 120. Okay, about these data types, there will be further chapters जहाँ पर आप ये सब चीजें देखोगे. As we discussed the difference between tuples and list, list can be changed once you have created it. The tuples can't be changed. So हम लोग tuples को बोलते हैं immutable data type because they cannot be modified after the creation, whereas a list object can be modified. आप उसको change कर सकते हो बनाने के बाद. That's why they are called mutable. So since you can change a mutable data type, they are not considered final. Final form नहीं होता है उनका, आप कभी भी उनको change कर सकते हो. Whereas immutable में their final form is the last form. So you can take a screenshot of this slide. Now let's look at the operators. Just like mathematics has addition, subtraction, multiplication, there are different kind of operators in the Python language. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. ये आपने देखा होगा पहले. Modulus gives us the remainder. अगर हमें एक्सपोनेंट करना है तो हम लोग एस्टरिस्क साइन 2 बार यूज करते हैं. और अगर हमें डेसिमल्स में आंसर नहीं चाहिए डिवीजन का तो हम लोग फ्लोर डिवीजन करते हैं. सो इफ आई से 15/2 इट शुड गिव 7.5. बट इफ आई से 15 फ्लोर डिवीजन बाय 2, यहाँ पर जो डेसिमल पार्ट है वो हट जाएगा एंड वी विल ओनली गेट द इंटीजर पार्ट. देयर इज समथिंग एल्स known as relational operators, जहाँ पर हम लोग कंपैरिजन करते हैं. सो दिस मीन्स comparing the value. For example, if I say is 4 equal to 3, the answer to this is false. It is not. But if I say 4 is not equal to 3, the answer is true. So ये जो relational operators होते हैं, they will always give a logical answer, which means in terms of true or false. So this is not in your syllabus. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than equal to. We have seen this in mathematics. They convey the same meaning in Python. Assignment operators. When I say x is equal to 3, we say that the value 3 has been assigned to the variable x or identifier x. If I want to add 1 to this, अगर मुझे 1 add करना है इसमें, I can say this x is equal to 3 plus 1, और I can say x is equal to x plus 1, या फिर इसका जो short form होता है x. Similarly, if I want to use different operators जैसे minus sign, so these are the uses. Again, logical operators में भी आपको true and false का output आता है. Is x less than 5 and is x less than 10? This is true and this is true. If x is 3, then इन दोनों का t and t will give us true. Similarly, for or, it will also give us a true or false value. Not means we are negating it. We are making the opposite of the result. If I say 3 less than 5, not, so 3 is less than 5, this is true. यहाँ पर बाहर not है, not true will finally give us false. So very logical in nature, nothing to cram as such. आपको याद नहीं रखना पड़ेगा, आप समझ सकते हो ये सारी चीजें. So is and is not, as the name conveys, if I say if x and y are the same object, it will return true. If x is not same as y, it will return false. As simple as that. So operator in and not in also has the same thing. Is 5 in this sequence? This is true. Is 5 not in this sequence? So it is not there. It also gives us true. Next up is expressions. Expressions is actually a combination of constants, variables, and operators. Just like mathematics has things like this is a statement. Expression is also a similar thing in Python language. So this is an expression, this is an expression, even this is an expression. Statement means we are creating an expression that can be executed. Basically we are allotting a value to a variable. जैसे x is equal to 4, cube of x is x raised to 3, and then we print x cube. These all are statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3. Since Python is a high level language, हम लोग इसमें input दे सकते हैं as well as हम लोग output भी दे सकते हैं. For example, we can take the input from the user by using this keyword which is input. Always remember, जब भी हम लोग input keyword use करते हैं, it will read the input in string format. So if I say age equals input and then it displays enter your age, I add 19 and then I say print age, age will be printed as 19. If I say print type of age, the type of variable ages, type of value ages, it will tell us that it is a string and not an integer value, because input से हम हमेशा text read करते हैं and not a number. So which tells us अगर मुझे age को number के through read करना है, मुझे नहीं चाहिए कि वो string format में हो, हम लोग type conversion use करते हैं. Why is it necessary? Let's say I ask a user to enter a number and you want to double it. So मैंने जो number है वो store किया num1 में. For example, I enter 2. So the value of num1 is 2. I'm telling the user I want to double it. So how do you double it? You multiply it by 2, right? 2 से multiply किया and then I print num1. But what will happen? Do you think 4 will get printed? It's not the case. 4 print नहीं होगा because this is not an integer multiplication. As we discussed, ये जो num का format है, that is string. So it will actually print 2 twice. So 22 answer आएगा. So for that purpose, we need to create a type of conversion known as explicit conversion. उसका example होता है like this. num1 is 10, num2 is 20. num3 में मैंने दोनों को ऐड कर दिया. So the answer should be 30, right? What if I want to convert it into a float number? I want the answer as 30.0. I say float of 30. So in order to convert any variable from one type to another, we write the data type in front of it. For example, in the previous example, मुझे अगर num1 को convert करना था integer में, I had to write num1 is int of num1. So this type of conversion जहाँ पर हम लोग Python को बोल रहे हैं खुद से कि please convert this into a float data type, please convert this into an int data type. That type of conversion is known as explicit conversion. But in some cases, Python does that for you automatically. For example, I have a variable num1 equals 10 and I have a variable num2 which is 20.2. Please note that this is an integer and this is a float. So when we add these two, what should the final type be? The final type will always be float even if you do not specify it. So in this type of conversion, you have not mentioned anything. जो आपका sum का value आएगा, that will be automatically 30.0. And if you print the type of it, it will be float. This is an implicit conversion. So when any Python developer is writing a code, none of them can write them perfectly. हो सकता है कुछ गलतियां हो जाएंगी. So when we try to solve the mistakes while writing a program, that thing is known as debugging. We are actually trying to solve the mistakes which were done while writing a program. They can be of three types. Either you have committed a mistake in the grammar, आपने कुछ कोड गलत लिख दिया. There can be a mistake in the logic, जिससे आपको गलत आंसर्स आ रहे हैं. Or maybe there can be a mistake कि when you execute the program, you are facing an error. So let's quickly go through each of them with an example. Syntax error में आपका जो grammar है वो wrong होता है. Example, x is equal to 10 plus 12. So this is absolutely right. But y is equal to 7 plus 11. We are not closing the brackets. This is why it is a wrong statement. Hence, it will show us a syntax error. Logical error means our program is executing. We are also getting the output. But our logic was wrong. For example, I want to calculate the average of two numbers. The formula is whole of a plus b by 2. But अगर मैंने प्रोग्राम में a plus b by 2 लिख दिया, मुझे आंसर कुछ और आएगा. So this gives us a logical error. Runtime errors is the abnormal termination of program. Basically आपका जो प्रोग्राम है वो रन कर रहा है, but suddenly it stops and you do not get an output. The most famous example would be, I have the value of a as 10, b as 0. And when we try to divide both, obviously you cannot divide by 0, we get a runtime error. So with this, we have covered all of the topics necessary for introduction of Python, but the most important part is still left. Let's have some practice. What is the difference between a keyword and an identifier? So basically we have seen at the beginning, there are 33 keywords in Python. They are predefined, whereas an identifier is user defined. Keyword has a special meaning and purpose जो Python को पता होता है, whereas identifier is user defined and it is not reserved. Basically if I say num1 or num2, these are known as identifiers, but keywords are reserved. For example, I'm using a for loop or a while loop. Which of the following identifier names are invalid and why? So let's have a look. So identifier names के लिए the only special character we can use is underscore and not full stop. So this is wrong. Total marks is correct. Sub alphabets हैं and there is this special character. First room, यहाँ पर जो digit है वो start में आ गया. So this is wrong. Total marks, there is a different special character which is wrong. Different special character which is wrong. You cannot start with a special character. This is wrong. You cannot have a space. Space is also a special character. Even this is wrong. And true is also wrong because it is a keyword. Okay. So this is how you can practice. Write logical expressions corresponding to the following statements in Python and evaluate the expressions. So I will just solve the first one. You can write the answers to these in the comment section or practice at your home. The sum of 20 and minus 10 is less than 12. Easy. Please practice this at home and you can also write your answers in the comment section. I can check it there. Question 4, add a pair of parentheses to each expression so that it evaluates to true. So it is kind of tricky. So let's use this part. So 1 is less than minus 1, which is false. 3 is greater than 4, which is false. False equals false, which is true. So यहाँ पर आपको parentheses लगाने हैं. Please solve these two on your own and you can write your answers in the Telegram group or the comment section. I will only solve this one. These both are for your self-practice. Num1 is 4. Okay. Num2 is num1 plus 1, which is 4 plus 1, which is 5. Then what I do, I change the value of num. Num1 is now 2. When I say print num1, it will print 2. Print num2, num2 की value है 5. So actually में आपको दिखेगा 2 space 5. Try to solve these both. Give the output of the following when num1 is equal to 4, num2 is equal to 3, and num3 is equal to 2. So let's try to solve this. We are storing the value in this variable. So this is 4 raised to, so 4 raised to, num2 is what? 3, num3 is what? 2, 3 plus 2, which is 4 is equal to 5, 4 raised to 5, which is 2 raised to 10, and I suppose this should be equal to 1024. Please confirm, and please solve these on your own as well. Categorize the following as syntax error, logical error, or runtime error. Runtime error is what? When you execute the program and tab aapko error आए. Is this a wrong statement? No, it's not a wrong statement. तो syntax error तो नहीं हो सकता है. Logic में भी कुछ problem नहीं है. But we will face a runtime error because divide by 0 is not possible. Same goes here. सारी statements correct है. So there is no syntax error. There is no logical error also. But runtime के through जब हम लोग 0 से divide करेंगे तो आपको runtime error आएगा. So with this, we have practiced a lot of things. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask in the Telegram group. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Till then, stay awesome. Bye-bye.